Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the world of cloud computing. You know, if you've ever felt like you're drowning in a sea of acronyms, you are definitely not alone. So let's clear up all that confusion, shall we?
IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. It sounds like a bit of an alphabet soup, doesn't it? These are the three main ways cloud services are delivered. And yeah, they can seem super confusing at first, but I promise you, there is a dead simple way to understand them, and by the end of this, it's all going to make perfect sense.
That's right. We're going to talk about dinner. Now, I know that sounds a little weird, but trust me on this. This one single analogy, comparing cloud services to the different ways you can get a meal, is the secret key. It's what's going to make everything click into place. Okay, so before the cloud really took off, companies pretty much had one option: doing everything on premises. Think of this like deciding you want to make dinner, so you build a kitchen from scratch. You buy the land, build the walls, install the oven, the fridge, the tables, absolutely everything. You own it all, sure, but you also have to maintain it all. It is a ton of work. But the cloud? It gives us a whole new recipe.
So, let's start with our first option. Let's call it the rented kitchen model. Imagine you don't want to build a whole kitchen, but you still need all the heavy-duty equipment to cook a great meal. This is exactly where our first cloud model comes into play.
This is Infrastructure as a Service, or IaaS. Think of it like leasing a professional, fully equipped kitchen. The cloud provider gives you the servers, the storage, the networking, all that fundamental infrastructure. But, and this is the key part, you bring your own recipes and your own ingredients. In tech terms, that means you install and manage your own operating systems and applications.
The biggest word here is control. With IaaS, you get a ton of flexibility. Need more computing power for a big launch? You scale up almost instantly. Is it a slow month? You scale right back down, and you only pay for what you actually use. This turns what used to be a massive upfront hardware expense into a much more manageable operating cost.
So who's this for? Well, it's a game changer for startups that just can't afford to buy tons of hardware. But it's also for the giants. Take Netflix. They use IaaS to handle their insane worldwide streaming demand. When a hot new show drops and millions of us hit play at the same time, they can instantly scale up to meet that demand. No way they could do that with their own physical servers.
And you want to talk about money? The financial benefit is just staggering. Gartner estimates that businesses can slash their infrastructure costs by up to 40% just by making the switch from on-prem to IaaS. I mean, that is a huge amount of cash that can go right back into growing the business.
Okay, but what if you're someone who loves the creative part of cooking, but you hate all the prep? The shopping, the chopping, the measuring, ugh. Well, this brings us to our next level of service. Think of it like a meal kit delivery service.
And this is Platform as a Service, or PaaS. So in this scenario, the provider gives you not just the kitchen, the infrastructure, but also all the pre-measured ingredients and the recipe cards. That's your operating system, your databases, your development tools. All you have to do is the fun part: putting it all together and cooking your meal. In the real world, this means developers just get to focus on writing code for their application.
The whole point of PaaS is that it's built for developers. It just radically speeds up the entire development process. Instead of worrying about server maintenance or network settings, teams can just collaborate and focus on one thing: building and shipping amazing applications fast. It can actually speed up time to market by as much as 30%.
So this model is perfect for teams that are building web or mobile apps, especially when they're working together on a project. You've probably heard of some of the big ones, like Heroku or Google App Engine. They provide everything a developer needs to build, test, and deploy their software in a really smooth, streamlined way.
All right, but let's be honest. Sometimes you don't want to rent a kitchen and you don't want a meal kit. You're just hungry and you want a finished meal with absolutely zero effort. This brings us to the final and most common cloud model. Your dinner is served.
Welcome to the world of Software as a Service, or SaaS. This is the simplest one of all. It's basically like going out to eat at a restaurant or ordering delivery. The provider builds, hosts, maintains, and manages the entire application. All you do is log in and start using it.
The real beauty of SaaS is just how simple it is. The provider handles literally everything: the servers, the software updates, the security patches, the whole shebang. You, the user, just pay a subscription fee and get to work. It requires almost no technical knowledge on your part.
So it's really no surprise that SaaS is by far the most popular cloud option for businesses out there. It's easy to access, it's super convenient, and it lets companies use incredibly powerful tools without any of the headaches of actually managing.
And here's the thing: you are probably using SaaS applications all day, every day, without even realizing it. Google Workspace for your email? That's SaaS. Salesforce for managing customers? SaaS. Zoom for all those video calls? Yep, SaaS. Shopify for running an online store? You guessed it, SaaS. We're all using it.
Okay, so we've run through the whole dinner analogy. Let's now get down to the brass tacks, the technical reality. The biggest difference between these three models really comes down to one question. Who manages what? Is it you or is it the cloud provider?
This chart breaks it down perfectly. Just look at the far left. With on-premises, you manage everything, every single layer. Now slide over to IaaS. The provider handles the foundational stuff, the servers, the storage, the networking, but you're still in charge of the operating system and your applications. Move one more to the right to PaaS. The provider now also handles the runtime and middleware. All you manage is your app and its data. And finally, all the way on the right with SaaS, the provider manages the entire stack. You just show up and use it.
So it all boils down to this fundamental trade-off right here. IaaS gives you the most control and customization. It's your rented kitchen, you set it up exactly how you want. SaaS, on the other hand, gives you the most convenience. It's dinner delivered to your door. And PaaS, well, that sits right in the middle, giving you a nice balance of both.
This whole as-a-service idea has totally transformed the tech industry. It's not an exaggeration to say it's changed everything. So the natural question is, where is this all going next?
Well, we're heading towards a future of everything as a service, which people have started calling XaaS, with an X. The basic idea is that pretty soon, almost any IT function you can think of can be delivered and used as a service over the internet. From databases to security to disaster recovery, you name it.
And the pace of innovation is just picking up. We're seeing AI get baked into everything. The rise of serverless computing, which is wild. It lets you run code without even thinking about servers. And a huge focus on containers, things like Docker and Kubernetes. All of this is pushing more and more companies to adopt what's called a multi-cloud strategy, where they mix and match services from different providers to build the absolute perfect system for their needs.
So let's end on this question. These as-a-service models give us incredible power, unbelievable scale, and just so much convenience. They let tiny startups compete with massive corporations and have enabled innovations we couldn't even dream of a decade ago. But as we hand over more and more control of our infrastructure, our platforms, and our software, what's the real price we're paying for all this convenience? It's something to think about. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.